You know it's this. Take a perk and a talk of that shit. Money swallowing like sis. Did it perfect in the kid. Got a billion who sang on my head. Look up better put on the road I just spent. I know we got $1 million. The devil that shit ain't not cheaper again.
Hello and welcome back, fellow anime lovers, to MangaMuse. I am delighted to have you join us once again in the world of fanfiction and fantasy. This is the second part of What If Deku Enters Batman, Arkham series. Special note, this fanfic is written and a masterpiece of scouttroop on FANFICTIONnet. Do check and support the author too. Now smash the like, share and subscribe button for more. Also press the bell icon so that you never miss such great parts. Thanks for the introduction. Now let's dive into the world. Well, we still have plenty of time left here in Island before it's time to return home to Multiverse City. Wolfram has been arrested and imprisoned, well at least he blurted out that he was in league with All for One anyway. David and Sam are in separate hospital rooms with the police watching them, but at least they allow visitors like Melissa who wanted to visit her father and see how he's doing. As for me, I'm going to tell David why did the top men or sponsors took away his quirk amplification device in the first place, but I know its purpose was to maximize All Might's quirk thanks to what I learn about it. Everybody else is enjoying a barbecue with All Might for the victory on stopping Wolfram even though I'm the one who caused it and they hailed me a hero. Everyone else who didn't join them in Island showed up, while Momo stays with me while I talk with David. Hospital room. Azrael with Momo enters David's hospital room since the police allows them to. Hey Azrael and Momo, David said hello to the both of them. Melissa waves hello to them too since she's with her father as well. How you doing David? Azrael asked calmly. I'm doing fine Azrael, so are you and Momo here to tell me something? That quirk amplification device, you made it to maximize All Might's quirk and prevent it from disappearing, right? Correct, because All Might needs to remain a hero and the symbol of peace. It's all thanks to him crime was minimized. If his quirk disappears for good then crime will become even higher, David said, even mentioning his fear of what will happen if All Might's quirk disappears. Yeah, but the top men or sponsors took it away from you. Now Azrael mentions the top men taking it away from him and Sam after they first introduce it to them. Yes, because they said it was too dangerous and they lock it away to prevent it from falling to the wrong hands to begin with. There's something else to that aside from believing it's too dangerous. I believe it was also out on fear too. Azrael believes it's because the top men were fearful, which is another reason why they took David's quirk amplification device. Fearful of what Azrael? Melissa asks what are the top men are so fearful of, even David wants to know as well. There's too many obvious reasons that they are so fearful of, Azrael gave an answer to them, but such a device that has that kind of power can also lead to some disasters far worse than crime. What he says next, it's probably if something went wrong with the device because its power can lead to something far more worse than crime. Okay, maybe that's enough reason for me not to worry for All Might's leaving his role as the symbol of peace. That gave David enough reason to never ever use his quirk amplification device for All Might. Lastly for Sam, it's likely he was greedy for money but he never realizes the villains can always tie up loose ends, which means disposing of him. Wolfram wanted to use your device for evil purpose as well as help All for One's plans as well. You may have succeeded on reforming me and reconsider my goals to keep All Might's quirk from disappearing, but I'm still concerned about who will be his successor as the symbol of peace when his time is finally over. What David said made Azrael and Momo stare at each other over that question that's needed to be answered. When All Might's time is over, his role as the symbol of peace will have to be passed on to a new warrior, a successor, to me. But that's only if God wills it and if All Might considers it, plus I have to prove that I am worthy of being his successor. One last thing, there will be a day that I will have to be moral. Azrael considers himself to be a worthy successor to All Might. It's not like All Might can keep that burden forever in his deteriorating state, that's for sure. Momo commented about All Might's long burden. Somewhere in Island. Nana Shimura watches and listens to everything that Azrael says about being All Might's successor when his time is over. Through a binocular and a hidden radio, Azrael wishes to be your successor Toshi. Still, aside from you that need to consider it, even I need to consider if he is worthy of being your successor, Nana said to All Might, even if he's not here with her and he is unaware that she is still alive. Azrael, the Knight of Saint Dumas, you can be Toshi's successor if you survive long enough in the long war on crime. Muzutafu, Japan. Dagoba Beach. Izuku/Azrael and Momo are spending time together alone at the beach ever since they got back from Island. Ever since Azrael told David that Toshinori/All-Might's title as the symbol of peace should be passed to a new warrior and that new warrior should be him, Azrael said Toshinori/All-Might must consider it first and he must prove that he is worthy of being Toshinori/All-Might's successor. Even Nana Shimura, who was watching, wonders if something like will ever happen if he survives long enough to reach that goal. The final part that Azrael needs is to be moral when fighting crime. Right now that Himiko Toga of the League of Villains is about to intrude on Azrael's and Momo's time together, this is about to get very interesting because they won't be alone this time. Himiko is in love with izukumidoriya/Azrael the same as Momo. This can resort to violence which can be called a catfight. Azrael and Momo are enjoying the scenery at Dagoba Beach. Really appealing, isn't Azrael? Momo said, leaning on his shoulder. Yes, it is, Momo. Azrael then throws his arm around her, causing her to blush. Do you still consider yourself a worthy successor to All Might? Momo asks if he still believes that he is a worthy successor when All Might's time is over. I still need to wait for him to consider it and I have to prove that I'm worthy before his time is over, Azrael answered, even though he hasn't spoken to All Might about this just yet. Aside from not speaking to All Might about this, I haven't told All Might that Nana Shimura is still alive and has been watching him and everyone from the shadows. Azrael thought to himself that he has not yet told All Might that Nana Shimura is indeed alive, having survived her final stand against Shigaraki/All for One and has met her in person before coming to Island. The problem was she wasn't there when her son Kotaro was losing his mind and has a grudge against all heroes, which turned her grandson Tenko into Tamura Shigaraki. I will tell All Might that Nana is still alive someday. Azrael's thoughts was cut short when he felt someone else leaning on his shoulder on the left. Azrael have a look and it turns out to be Himiko Toga. Oh, it's you, Himiko Toga, he grunted, realizing it's Himiko and what she is doing is right in front of Momo. Azrael, who is this? Momo demanded to know with jealously written all over her face. This is Himiko Toga of the League of Villains. Despite being a member, she's also in love with me the same as you, Momo. That's right, Azrael, I fell in love with you in first sight, Himiko said. But at same PRD she has her melons press against his chest. Hey! He is mine. Momo pulls him over to her side after seeing Himiko press her BRST against him. Correction, his mine first. Himiko pulls him to her side next and proclaiming that he is hers first. No. Me first. Momo yelled at Himiko, but it was Momo who fell in love with Izuku/Azrael from the very beginning when they first met. Himiko on the other hand is lustful. The two girls starts a catfight, pulling Azrael to their side back and forth over and over again until Azrael gets completely dizzy and collapses on the beach sand. The two girls continue to catfight, but only using their hands instead of their weapons and quirks. Wake me up when the two of you are finished, Azrael tells them to wake him up when they are finally finished fighting over him. We agree completely. The two girls shouted at him while holding each in a headlock like if they are wrestling. Azrael wakes up from his short sleep but finds himself laying on Nana Shimura's lap. They are still not finished, Nana said, and Azrael sees that Momo and Himiko have not yet finished their catfight, which turns into what looks like a wrestling match. It's really going to take them some time before they can notice you, Nana. Indeed, but they will stop once they get very tired or worn out. Nana ensures Azrael that Himiko and Momo will stop their catfight once they get tired or worn out. Dagoba Beach. The catfight between Momo and Himiko over Izuku/Azrael has finally settled down after the two girls became exhausted as they continue to fight. Nana Shimura, who just arrived while they were still fighting, provided them with cold drinks, which is juice. The both of you feeling better now? Nana asked the two girls as they finished their juice. Yes, I'm good, Momo answered, throwing her cup into a nearby garbage. Me too, Himiko said, smiling but showing her shark-like teeth too. So how are you still alive, Nana Shimura? Last we heard is you died in your final stand against All for One. Momo asked, wanting to know how Nana survived her final stand against All for One. Even Himiko wanted to know. Azrael already knows anyway, having been told by her. True, but somehow I still survived my final stand. After I secretly watch over Toshinori and various other heroes played their part against the long war on crime. Nana explains what she's been doing after surviving her final stand against All for One in the first place. I was the first to be told that by Nana. Anyway, can we go back to my apartment? There is something I need to show all of you. Azrael said that they need to head back to the apartment because he needs them to see this. What's that? Nana asked. What is it that he wants them to see? Something I've discovered, Azrael answered, which means the three girls will have to wait as soon they get back to the Midoriya apartment. Midoriya apartment. When they arrived, Izuku/Azrael was greeted by his parents, who both embraces him and welcomes his guesses. Himiko chose hide her crazed personality so they wouldn't know that she is a supervillain. They already know Momo is Izuku/Azrael's love interest aside from being just a classmates. Lastly, Nana introduces herself and tells everything she knows like she told Izuku/Azrael, Momo and Himiko. Inko and Hisashi are quite surprised after learning that Nana was the original and previous user of the One for All quirk. Anyway, we'll be in my room. Izuku/Azrael tells his parents that they will be in his bedroom. Okay then. Izuku, need anything? No thank you mom. Izuku's bedroom. Izuku/Azrael opens the wall in his bedroom that had a hidden big computer screen and activates after being unhidden. You know about alternate universes, don't you? He asked the three girls if they have any knowledge of the alternate universes. Alternate universes are worlds similar to our own, except that not everything is it seems like our own. I'm talking about our counterparts. Nana tells him what she knows about the alternate universes. Okay, but there are only 2 alternate universes that I know about. Azrael mentions there are only 2 alt universe that he knows about and types it out in his big computer screen to gain access to it. In alternate universe 1, the izukumidoriya of this alternate universe never became Azrael and the Order of Saint Damas doesn't exist here. Azrael explains that his counterpart of this alternate universe isn't Azrael. So that means Izuku remained quirkless. Himiko said, believing Izuku remained quirkless due to not becoming Azrael in that alternate universe. At first, until discovering All Might's weakened form, this in turn gave All Might enough reason to pass on his quirk to the quirkless Izuku to give him a chance to become a hero like he wanted, but at the same PRD become All Might's successor. Oh, in this universe Nana Shimura is truly dead, having been killed in her final stand against All for 1 inch. Azrael explains everything he discovered from that alternate universe, especially the fact is that the Nana Shimura of that universe is dead because she didn't survive her final stand, unlike in their universe. For Izuku's lover of this universe, it's quite possible it's Akano Uraraka/Uravity, because usually she becomes embarrassed whenever her friends ask her about her feelings about Izuku. Azrael's next subject is telling about Izuku's love interest. Is quite possible it's Uraraka for sure. Oh, even the Himiko Toga of this universe has a crush on Izuku, but lustfully. Himiko smiled, feeling happy that her counterpart has crush on Izuku too. Alternate universe number 2, in this one the Izuku Midoriya is Azrael and the Order of Saint Damas exists here. The only difference is Izuku wasn't abducted from his home. Azrael mentions that his counterpart is Azrael of this second alternate universe. Okay, this could mean members from the Order of Saint Damas approached Izuku and recruited him to their ranks. When he returned he is now Azrael. Nana deduce how did Izuku became Azrael in this universes. Correct Nana. What else is there? Momo asks what else does he know of that second universes. Well, the Momo Yaoyorozu/Creati of this universe is Izuku's love interest just like the universes we live in. Momo blushed after Azrael mentions that. While at the same PRD Himiko Toga has crush on that Izuku, Himiko smiled again over that. Oh, and Nana Shimura is still alive here, but she's the symbol of peace in All Might's place. This is because Toshinori Yagi, who was going to be All Might, died in her place. Azrael reveals that All Might's counterpart died in Nana's place, which in turn makes her the symbol of peace instead. Also, Nana Shimura would pass on her One for All quirk to Izuku/Azrael in order to boost up his powers, but also to carry on the legacy as the new symbol of peace when her time is over. Azrael mentions his counterpart was given the same One for All quirk by Nana almost in a similar way like All Might did in the other alternate universe. Izuku Midoriya/Azrael's POV. What I'm doing right now is making a trip to the first alternate universe, which I dubbed the mainstream universe of sort of like it. where my counterpart never became Azrael and the Order of Saint Dumas doesn't exist here, but I'm not so sure about that. Here izukumidoriya was quirkless but was given some of the one for all quirk of Toshinori Yagi / All Might in hopes that Izuku will be his successor as the symbol of peace due to an fatal injury that he sustained and knowing that he cannot hold out forever. So he chooses the quirkless izukumidoriya to success him just before his time as the symbol of peace is over. The real reason why I need to visit this mainstream universe, it's because the izukumidoriya aka Deku is missing for 5 years and I need to impersonate or pretend to be him until he can be found. No matter, I'm still bringing my Azrael suit of sorrow, my sword of sin and the rest my arsenals with me on this mission, and I can have bigger explanations if they see me in that, even if they still think I'm their izukumidoriya. Finally, since Ochiko Uraraka / Uravity is the love interest of their Izuku, I need to keep my cover on that, as well as that fact that Himiko Toga of the mainstream universe is that same and Momo Yaoyorozu / Creati is only friend and classmate in there. Well, good luck to me without anyone there to help me since I'm on my own during my stay in the mainstream universe. End of POV. MJ Alt Universe 1 / Mainstream Universe. Izuku Midoriya of the Azrael universe arrives without wearing his Azrael suit of sorrow. What he did next is make himself look like he's been tortured by any enemy he knows about. Okay, now to come out from the shadows, Izuku then walks out of the dark alleys where he can see light. The crowd of people walking by sees him and they recognizes him, but they think he's their Izuku, especially Uraraka, who was walking with Melissa Shields. Izuku? Uraraka asked before Izuku collapses unconscious on the sidewalk, although it was only act, but they are not supposed to know that. Oh Izuku. Uraraka and Melissa ran to his aid. Someone call an ambulances. Melissa yelled to the crowd. Muzudafu Hospital. Inko arrives at the Hosu General Hospital to visit whom she thinks is her son from the mainstream universe. After finishing her talk with the doctor, Inko looks at Izuku in bandages who's looking out the window at the night skies. Inko steps inside his hospital room where Izuku turns around to look at the counterpart of his mother. Hi mom, Izuku smiles and greets her. My Izuku. Inko tearfully embraces her son. I felt this many times already, Izuku thought to himself, because this feels so much the same even if this isn't his universe that he's in. Midoriya apartment. We left your room as it is, Inko said to Izuku until they met. Hisashi was just waiting for them. Hi dad, Izuku greeted his father. Welcome home son. Hisashi embraces his son before Izuku turns to see someone coming from the living room, and it turns out to be Himiko Toga. Hello Himiko. Himiko then runs up to him and threw her arms around him, and she has tears streaming down her eyes. 5 years you've been missing Izuku, and I choose to leave the League of Villains. When I did, I choose to stay at your home. Himiko told Izuku what she did after the Izuku of the mainstream universe disappeared for 5 years. Hey Himiko, I'm home now and you made the right choice. By the way, does All Might and all of the other heroes know about you? He asked out on curiosity because in his universe Momo and Nana are the only ones who knows about Himiko's relationship with him. Just a few Izuku, Himiko gave him his answer. Dinner time. Later on they have dinner together with Himiko. I really miss your cooking mom, Izuku said as he eats what she made for all of them. I'm happy to hear that Izuku. Inko smiled at her son for that. Do you who made you disappear son? Izuku might as well tell them, although he's only going to make something up because he doesn't know where his counterpart is yet and who's responsible for causing his disappearances. I couldn't even see my surroundings, I've been blindfolded, plus I don't even recognize who the voices of those people who made me disappear in the first place. Lastly, how I managed to escape is kind of a long story. Izuku makes up the story while pretending to be his counterpart, although he will reveal himself once his counterpart is found. Well, the stuff you miss while you were missing for 5 years, the ones who knows about me is All Might and some the students you know of from UA High. Plus that Uraraka girl did sound jealous after learning that I have the same feelings like her. Catfight Himiko. Well, Izuku as Azrael have witnessed his lover Momo catfight his second lover Himiko from the Azrael universes. We only glared at each other, that's all. Himiko tells him that they never got into a catfight and they only glared at each other. Yikes. Well mom, I think I'm going to retire myself and go to bed now. Izuku leaves the kitchen and heads up to his room and go to bed after, or that's what he was going to do. Inko on the other hand looks at her son whom she thinks it's her mainstream universe's son, feels like he is sad about something. But in time she and everyone of the mainstream universe will learn that this Izuku is from the Azrael universe. Izuku now in the bedroom of his counterpart pulls out a large big luggage that's hidden there, but it wasn't there before, which means it came from the Azrael universe. He opens up and in it is his Azrael suit of sorrow, his sword of sin and the rest of his arsenals that was secretly teleported there safely without anyone noticing. Now I can operate here as Azrael safely. I will allow everyone of the mainstream universe to think I donned a new superhero alias known as Azrael after being missing for 5 years until I can find my counterpart wherever he is right now. Izuku makes his plans for the following day. Izukumidoriya/Azrael's POV. Today it's time to go to UA high of this sort of mainstream universe. It's probably going to be like a deja vu here. Anyway, while I do this, I just hope whoever cause my mainstream universe counterpart's disappearances can discover my presences, and with that I can ask them of the whereabouts of my counterpart, then I can expose myself to everyone of the mainstream universe. In the meantime I'll stay in my cover and make up the story of how I became Azrael. Since the Order of Saint Dumas doesn't exist in this mainstream universe, I will go by the Templar Knight. End of POV. Izuku is on his way to UA High while looking around Multiverse for the culprits who caused his counterpart's disappearances. Hey Izuku. Uraraka surprised before he reaches the gate of UA High. Hi Uraraka, good to be back, Izuku said, still posing as her Izuku. I hope after these 5 years, there must be something new about you, Uraraka said, but the only thing that's new here is this Izuku is Azrael from another universe and it's unknown if her Izuku has changed. Well, let's go inside and find out. Izuku came prepared anyway since he brought his Azrael suit of sorrow, sword of sin and the rest of his arsenals including full gauntlet that Melissa gave him back in Island. In the classroom, Izuku meets many familiar faces, Toshinori/All-Might, Katsuki/Kaken, Shoto/Shudo, Tenya/Ingenium, Ijiro/Red Riot, Minoru/Grape Juice, Denki/Chargebolt, Fumikage/Tsukimi, Tsuyu/Froppy, Kyoka/Earphone Jack, Toru/Invisible Girl, Mina/Pinky, Itsuka/Battle Fist and Momo/Creati, who was only a friend to his counterpart. Lastly the teachers Hizashi/Present Mike, Ken/Cementos, Ectoplasm, Hagari/Power Loader, Sakijiro/Vlad King, Sorahiko/Gran Torino, Shota/Eraser Head, Snipe and Namuri/Midnight. Izuku will use his cover speech while posing as counterpart. Lastly the UA staff he remembers is, Nizu/Principal, Lunch Rash, Chio/Recovery Girl and 13. Anyway, ever since my disappearances for 5 years I donned myself a new hero name, the Templar Knight. I am Azrael. Izuku shows the picture of the hero name he's taken. Well, he has to go by Templar Knight from now on because the Order of Saint Dumas doesn't exist in the mainstream universe, or sort of. Azrael the Templar Knight, now that's God's executioners, Midnight said, since she always be the one to say something whenever a student introduced their hero alias. Knights Templar or the Templar Order is a group of warrior monks who protected and defended the pilgrims of the Holy Land and grew very powerful before being disbanded long after the fall of Acre at the hands of Muslims. The Templars later disbanded in 1312 by Pope Clement V under the pressure of King Philip IV of France, but the Templars have a legacy and legends throughout history. Midnight tells everyone the history of the Templar Knights. Yeah, right, as if Deku can fight like a Templar Knight, Kaken said, insulting Izuku. Well, since my counterpart never became Azrael and stayed being Deku, Kaken never changed not one bit, Izuku thought to himself before throwing a shuriken, but lands on Kaken's desk. You want to keep insulting me due to a little everlasting rivalry we have, you can go right ahead, but I'm not the same Deku like I was before anymore, Izuku said, glaring at Kaken. Why you? Kaken attempts to blow Izuku up but was caught by his grapple gun and was pulled and then is tackled by Izuku. How's that for our rivalry? Izuku said, smirking at Kaken. It's challenge then. Kaken announces, barely trying to pick himself up. It's because they don't know that tackle is actually enhanced due to his suit of sorrow, even though he wasn't wearing it. You want to settle this, let's go to the stadium and see how much Izuku has changed as the Templar Knight hero Azrael. All Might makes the decision that they should see Izuku's new fighting styles as Azrael in the sports festival. Yeah, we all have to see that in Izuku's new costume. Shoto agrees that they really have to see that at the sports festival stadium. Oh yeah, Denki said with his thumbs up from both hands. Great, let's spread the news and prepare things for tomorrow. All Might said that we'll spread the news for this event for tomorrow and prepare the stadium. Izuku/Azrael will also try to find any information on the whereabouts of the mainstream universe Izuku. Sports festival next day. On the next day a lot of people and various pro-heroes came to watch the match between Kaken and whom they think is their Izuku, who goes by the Templar Knight hero Azrael. Right now everyone enjoys whatever fun they have before the match starts. Izuku inside the locker room brings his suit of sorrow with him and puts it on. I am Azrael once more. Izuku said to himself in the mirror and makes his way to the arena where Kaken is waiting for him. Arena. Good morning folks. I'm your host Hisashi Yamada aka Present Mike, and we are here to watch the match between Katsuki Bakugo aka Kaken and Izukumidoriya, whose new hero name is Azrael the Templar Knight. Present Mike broadcast this from one room that he always stays in. Izuku/Azrael enters the arena and everyone was quite surprised for the appearances of his costume that resembles a Templar Knight, but it's the red cross on his suit of sorrow that makes him look like a Templar Knight. Whoa! Now that's a good-looking new costume for Izuku aka Azrael, Present Mike announces to the audiences and pro-heroes that are watching. Ribbit, despite the appearances of his costume, Izuku still looks like a Templar Knight, so you commented after seeing Izuku/Azrael's suit of sorrow for the first time. It's the red cross is what represents it, since that's the symbol and flag of the Templar Order. Kyoka sitting next to Tsuyu commented next. Hey, we all came here to see how strong Izuku has become after being missing for 5 years. Uraraka reminded them what they also here for. We all know that Uraraka, Momo said, talking a photograph Izuku/Azrael's suit of sorrow. Nice Templar suit Deku, but I will still always surpass you. Kaken doesn't actually knows that he can't because the Izuku from the Azrael universe is far beyond him. Azrael attacks first by throwing 3 shurikens. Kaken blocks 2 but not so lucky with the third one. Ping! Ow! The third shuriken was still in disc mode, takes a direct hit to his head and Kaken rubs his head with both of his arms. Azrael then pulls out his sword of sin. Azrael has pulled out his cool-looking sword now, that's ballsy. Present Mike tells that to the audiences. I just hope Izuku isn't planning to kill him to settle this never-ending rivalry that Kaken always has on him ever since his quirk manifested. All Might concerns that Izuku/Azrael might attempt to kill with his sword of sin. I highly doubt he would go that far. Midnight assures that he would not go that far. But in the Azrael universe Izuku has already gone that far on killing and not using his morals very much. Although he is starting to be moral. Azrael charges at Kaken with his sword of sin, although this caused most of audiences to shiver in fear that he might kill him. Azrael only rams Kaken, although he shields himself from Azrael's tackle. He finds himself having trouble trying to get up. What happened next is, his sword of sin is starting to ignite on fire. Enlightenment, my quirk is strong-willed which can ignite my sword of sin to be on fire, Azrael tells Kaken. Oh, and another reason why you can barely stand up after being rammed or tackled by me, my enhanced strength comes from my suit of sorrow. UBSTRD. Kaken, after getting back on his feet, angrily attacks Azrael, who blocks every strike with his ignited sword of sin, making this look like a sword battle. The sword fight continues and Azrael backs away while Kaken press forward. Azrael then slashes shoulder with his wrist blade. You'll pay for that. Kaken said, full power this time. Azrael used his full gauntlet that was given to him by Melissa shields back his universe. Everything fades black. Sports Festival Stadium. Azrael activates his full gauntlet and put it in full power. Kaken goes head-on with him, but Azrael defends himself using his sword of sin to lock with Kaken's grenade gauntlets. No matter what you say, I will always surpass you. Kaken proclaims that he will always be better than Izuku/Azrael. We'll see about that, Kaken. Azrael retorts and headbutts Kaken, then pushes him back and gives him a powerful punch with his full gauntlet, sending Kaken flying outside the arena field, then slamming into a wall. No, that's impossible. Kaken, feeling outraged by his defeat at hands whom he thinks is the same rival of his mainstream universe before falling unconscious. Whoa! Kaken has been defeated by izukumidoriya aka Azrael, the Templar Knight hero. Present mic announces to audiences and they all cheered while Azrael does that praying like every knight would do. The audiences and pro-heroes all cheered for Izuku/Azrael's victory against Kaken. Even Melissa Shields cheered with her father, but she has a suspicious look on her face. It's because of the full gauntlet that Azrael has with him. That's the full gauntlet. How does he have it? I know it's still in my lab back in Island, Melissa thought to herself, wondering how does Azrael have the full gauntlet if it was still back at her lab. What's up, Melissa? Nothing, Dad. Melissa pretends like nothing a matter. Arena field. Back down here in the arena field, Azrael watches Kaken being taken off to get medical attention. He also noticed somewhere high up in the stadium someone dressed in what looks like a similar outfit and wielding what resembles a short sword is watching him. Got your attention, Azrael whispered, believing this person with a short sword may be the culprit behind the disappearance of the mainstream universe Izuku. I'll find you, then force you to tell me where is Izukumidoriya of this universe, Azrael whispered, vowing to find that person for information of the whereabouts of his counterpart. Kiyoshi Ward Shopping Mall. Izuku, still in his Azrael suit of sorrow, have lunch with Uraraka, Himiko, and Melissa in the shopping mall, but he is aware Melissa knows about his full gauntlet because using it at the arena was a dead giveaway, while Uraraka and Himiko look like they want to pick a fight over him. Azrael tracks the person with the short sword where he's heading using his IPAD and turns out to be Island. He guess he might be looking for the full gauntlet too. Hey Izuku, do mind telling me where did you get the full gauntlet, because I know it that well and I made it, so how is that in your hands? Melissa demanded to know where did Azrael get the full gauntlet, but Azrael looks at Himiko and Uraraka. Melissa figures that he doesn't want to say in front of them. Okay, not in front of them. Melissa agrees to not get an answer from him when Himiko and Uraraka are around, and they will need to talk about this somewhere else, plus it's not like Azrael has a choice, so he has to tell her about this. Melissa, do you know about multi-universes? Azrael wants to know if she knows anything about that before he can tell her everything. You mean alternate universes? That's what I'm talking about, Melissa. Reality check. I'm not the same Izukumidoriya of your universe, which I call the mainstream. I'm actually from an alternate universe where I never had some of All Might's one for all quirk. Instead, I was abducted by the Order of Saint Dumas, who were a splinter faction of the Knights Templar, and they made me into Azrael. The only reason why I'm here is because after learning of my counterpart, which is your Izukumidoriya's disappearances, I needed to pose as him until he can be found. Lastly, my love interest in my universe, which I call the Azrael universe, is Momo Yaoyorozu/Creati and Himiko Toga. Azrael reveals where he's from and the outcome of everything that's happened in his Azrael universe. Ever since I became Azrael, I don't have much morals in me and I'm willing to kill when fighting crime. What also surprised me is the Nana Shimura, who was All Might's mentor and previous user of the One for All quirk, was still alive, having survived her final fight against All for One. Azrael tells the final part, which surprised Melissa to learn that he's not that moral when fighting crime and learning of Nana Shimura's survival. So that means I gave my full gauntlet to you. Plus the only reason why you're using the word Templar Knight because that splinter faction, which is the Order of Saint Dumas, does not exist in this mainstream universe. Yes, in the meantime I have to get to Island because someone who was watching the match between me and Kaken might be also after the full gauntlet, and that person might be the one who caused my counterpart's disappearances. Azrael quickly uses his wrist blade and forms a circle and disappearances in a cloud of smoke. By Azrael, Himiko makes a quick goodbye to him. Island, Melissa's lab. Azrael arrives there and finds Melissa's full gauntlet still there. Azrael was then hit by a shuriken thrown by the person whom he was tracking and violently engages him in a sword battle. Azrael realizes he fights like him. Azrael kicks him in the stomach to push him back and eventually gets a full view of the layout of the costume of his enemy. Azrael, that other Azrael nodded after being identified. And that's a sort of sin too, the other Azrael nodded before re-engaging him. The two Azraels engages in a sword fight until Izuku/Azrael knocks the other's sword of sin off his hands before getting his knocked out of his hands next. The two began bashing each other with blunt objects and in the walls, even body slamming each other's in tables and desks, breaking each other. Izuku/Azrael body slams the other Azrael before punching him the face multiple times until he falls unconscious. Izuku/Azrael removes the metal mask from the other Azrael to see the face. Oh no! Izuku/Azrael shocked and horrified to see that the other Azrael is actually his mainstream counterpart izukumidoriya, who then regains consciousness and quickly picks up his sword of sin and escapes from him through the windows. Midoriya apartment. Izuku/Azrael's POV. My mainstream counterpart is an Azrael too. Just what the heck is going on here? There is no Order of Saint Dumas in this mainstream universe, or maybe there is. Still, Izuku must have acquired that Azrael's suit of sorrow and the sword of sin from somewhere. Most likely he stole it from somewhere and I need to cite it out through web news before my arrival. Another question that's needed to be answered is who caused my counterpart's disappearances or captured him, which kept him missing for 5 years, which in turn must drove him insane or broke his sanity. I know this because during my first encounter with him he was very violent when he was fighting me. End of POV. Later on. Izuku/Azrael is very occupied viewing various previous news in the web to be sure where did the mainstream Izuku found the Azrael suit of sorrow and the sword of sin. Inko provides him with food and drinks while he works. Looking for any museum heist Izuku? Inko asks him because that's what it looks like he was doing. Yeah, I looking for stolen stuff from museums. Izuku/Azrael answers without revealing that he actually tried to figure out which museum was the other Azrael's suit of sorrow and sword of sin was kept before the mainstream Izuku stole it. Well, don't work too hard Izuku. I won't push myself too hard mom. Izuku/Azrael assures her that he will not push himself too far, since he isn't in a rush to get things done anyway. After that Izuku/Azrael gets back on his search for the museum and was able to discover the previous report saying a medieval armor and sword was stolen by an unseen person. The Multiverse Museum is where the Azrael suit of sorrow and sword of sin was kept there. That's when driven insane mainstream Izuku broke in and stole it without being seen by the security cameras. Izuku/Azrael deduces that's how that Azrael arsenals was stolen by the mainstream Izuku. Got you. Izuku/Azrael texts Melissa on what he discovered while in Island. At the same PRD he texts All Might to accompany him at the Multiverse Museum and tells him about the stolen Azrael suit of sorrow and sword of sin but without revealing what they are. Plus he brings a hidden camera for everywhere in the mainstream universe to watch and listen to what they are about to see. Multiverse Museum. Okay, you're saying that the culprit who stole the armor and sword might come here once he realized that you and me are here, All Might said after hearing Azrael's plans. I swear to God that he will come, plus I think he must want revenge on his friends, allies, and most importantly you. Azrael implies being missing for 5 years must made the mainstream Izuku come to blame everyone including All Might, believing he was left for dead. Wait, why blame me most of all? Because being missing for 5 years must have made him believe he was left for dead, Azrael implies, and All Might is starting to know what he's talking about as the dots start to connect together. That's correct Azrael, the mainstream Izuku shows himself still wearing that other Azrael suit of sorrow. Remove your mask and I know it's you Izukumidoriya of the mainstream universe. The mainstream Izuku removes his mask revealing a scarred face. This got All Might and everybody who's watching through Azrael's hidden camera totally confused. What the? Two Izukus. All Might said in confusion. For the record Toshi, I'm not your Izukumidoriya, I'm actually from an alternate universe which I called the Azrael universe. The only reason why I'm here is because after learning of my counterpart's disappearances I need to masquerade as him until he can be found. Oh, Melissa is the only one who knows about me because I told her after she saw my full gauntlet, which was a dead giveaway. Azrael finally reveals who he is and where did he come from to everyone of the mainstream universe. Izuku, everyone including myself have been looking for you everywhere, All Might said, now trying to reason with his Izuku. Don't you dare lie to me Toshi. I've been waiting for you and the others to come help me and you left me for dead in that room for 5 years with him torturing me. But the mainstream Izuku retorts in anger, refusing to believe any of that. Who's him? Azrael asks who is Izuku talking about. Shigaraki aka All for One and leader of the League of Villains, Izuku reveals who has causes his disappearances for 5 years and it turns out to be All Might's nemesis. All Might started seeing flashes in his head, which is that very day his mentor Nana Shimura lost her life in her final stand against Shigaraki/All for One. Azrael then headbutts Izuku before he can kill All Might with his version of the Sword of Sin. Stand down Deku. Now Azrael is trying to reason with his counterpart while he has him pinned on the floor. Don't call me that Azrael. You and I are the same knight now. No, we're not Izuku. Unlike you, I was abducted by the Order of Saint Dumas who made me their knight Azrael. At least I got what I wanted to be. Even I don't use any morals when fighting crime just because I dislike the idea that every hero is disregarding the graveyards that are being filled by all of their enemies. I made that speech by broadcasting it and I got everyone in my universe to think about it. Reasons why they don't kill is because they all feel like they will only be just like them if they take a life, plus it's because they are not soldiers in the military who kill and die for their country and they are true heroes and they are given a lot of high praise from their fellow countrymen and others. Even that is true. I only want revenge for being abandoned. Izuku believes everything that Azrael says but still wants revenge for being left behind. Izuku kicks Azrael off, then uses smoke bombs and disappears from the scene. Is he gone? All Might ask him, finally snapping out of his flashbacks, for now, but I know we will see him again and he might come up with a plan to destroy Muzudafu's city as revenge. But I will stop him from going that far into the darkness. Azrael vows to stop Izuku from falling into the darkness. Izukumidoriya/Azrael's POV. Well, ever since that brief battle in Muzudafu Museum, I will do everything I can to reason with my mainstream counterpart not to destroy Muzudafu's city as revenge for believing he got left for dead. Well, everyone in the mainstream universe now know that I'm from an alternate universe which I call the Azrael universe. They might as well ask me to help their Izuku to redeem himself and let go of his revenge, and once he does I will return his Azrael suit of sorrow and sword of sin back to the museum where it belongs. Still, I wonder if there was an Order of Saint Dumas in this sort of mainstream universe. May God be with me on this one. End of POV. UA hi. So Azrael, you're saying I'm not your lover from your Azrael universe, am I right? Uraraka, having learned that Izuku/Azrael is from an alternate universe, ask him that question. Yeah, it's because the Uraraka in my universe has no feelings for me, but I know Himiko Toga does. Himiko smiled, showing her teeth after he said that. Okay, then who's your lover in the hero side then? You just had to ask that, don't you? Azrael said to Tenya when he asked him that, because this can be a little embarrassing to hear. My lover in the hero side is Momo Yaoyorozu aka Creati. Momo, who was sitting with Shoto, blushed red as the red cross in Azrael's suit of sorrow after learning that she's his lover in the Azrael universe. Embarrassed? Momo nods her head as a yes. How did that happen? Kyoka Jiro asks, how did Azrael and Momo hook up together? It's kind of a long story. Well then tell us the only parts that's not that long for you, All Might said. Well, Azrael might as well tell them the parts that's not that long, or maybe sort of long. During the time when people didn't know I was Azrael because I was missing for 2 years since my abductions by the Order of Saint Dumas, well, Momo was the first one to learn who I was behind my mask. After I killed the hero killer, Momo came to me because she's been conflicted after hearing my broadcast about me and the Order of Saint Dumas to the world. I gave her much comfort. In time we became lovers in the end. Meeting with Himiko may have been the same here too. She fell in love in first sight. Oh wow. Midnight believes that must have so romantic. For the record, the Order of Saint Dumas did mention that they're against the Hero Society moral ways because each and all of you do that the larger the graveyards are filled. The reason why you all refuse kill even if they are not good people is because you all believe you'll just be like them if you take a life even if they are bad people. In my way it's because you heroes are not soldiers. The fact is the soldiers of the military are considered the true heroes because they kill and die for their country and they are given a lot of high praise from their countrymen or foreign countries. Your unwilling to kill and staying moral about it got the Order of Saint Dumas to wonder if you consider yourselves worthy guardians and protectors of the innocents in the war against crime. The Order of Saint Dumas is a splinter faction of the Knights Templar. During the age of the Crusades many Templars knights had a fallout with other Templars and broke away from the Templar Order. When they did, they formed their own order, which is the Order of Saint Dumas. In these days in my universe the order operates as a guiding force against crime and corruption around the world in secret until I revealed their existences. Lastly, their knight who serves as their watcher and assassin is known as Azrael. He then talks about the Order of Saint Dumas, their origin and what they do in the modern day. You know what, Azrael, maybe you are right about all of us heroes, but it's our fear of being like them if we take a life even if they are just evil people, and we don't disregard or forget about the graveyards that's filled whenever those criminals we are catching for decades take the lives of the innocent. All Might believes what he's saying and tells him that they never forget about the graveyards that their enemies filled. None of that matters right now. What only matters right now is stopping your Izuku from falling into darkness. I won't kill him, I will try to reason with him and talk him out of revenge against the hero he idolized the most. Azrael vows to help Izuku out of his longing for revenge. I just hope you can bring back my Izuku back to me. Inko hopes that he can bring back his son. And you know I will, Mom. Azrael said he will do it until he gets a text message from Melissa Shields. Looks like your Izuku is planning on destroying Muzudafu's city by smashing the building in the center that will eventually cause an unstable seismic activity. All he needs to do is use his one for all quirk mix with his Sword of Sin in full power to create that unstable seismic activity. Before Azrael can leave and get to Izuku, All Might has something to say to him. Good luck, Azrael. The Knight of the Order Saint Dumas will be there once you talk him out of it. Izuku/Azrael becomes surprised that he called him by that name before opening his wrist blade, forming a circle and disappearing in a cloud of smoke. Meanwhile, mainstream Izuku stands in the roof of the building which is in the center of Muzudafu, ready to start his revenge by creating that unstable seismic activity. Before he can start, Azrael appears with his Sword of Sin aimed at him. You don't have to do this, Azrael said, now trying to reason with his mainstream counterpart. Funny, I was going to ask you the same thing, Azrael. You think your family and friends including Uraraka and Himiko would want you to do this just because you say the dead don't want anything? That's biggest benefits of being dead, Azrael. Izuku begins powering up his one for all quirk, mixing it with his Sword of Sin. Izuku, Azrael charges at him head on, throwing shurikens that are still in disc mode, which Izuku blocks each one before turning to face him. Azrael's and Izuku's battle in an intense sword fight until Izuku slips and falls, accidentally stepping on Azrael's Sword of Sin. Izuku stands up and rams Azrael, almost knocking him over the edge of the roof, and their swords locked. Azrael grabs a brick and smacks Izuku in the face, but that barely fazed him due to his metal mask. That barely fazed me, Izuku said before he and Azrael resumed their fight. Azrael again throws several shurikens at Izuku, but like last time, he blocks each one with his Sword of Sin and grabs the last one that was in disc mode, but this one detonates/explodes, knocking Izuku to the floor. Izuku stands up and battles Azrael again in a sword fight. Azrael was able to knock Izuku's Sword of Sin out of his hands after kicking his right hand. Azrael set his Sword of Sin aside before grabbing Izuku in a suplex drop, then getting on top of him and punching him in the face multiple times, which in turn subdues him. Where we left off. Azrael subdues the mainstream universe Izukumidoriya after punching him multiple times in the face. Despite he's wearing that metal mask, Azrael was still able to injure him. Azrael then stands up after this, and once more, he will to try to talk Izuku out of his revenge. Izuku, maybe you can believe that you were left for dead by the hero you idolize ever since you were little. I had the same thing in my Azrael universe, except I never believe I got left for dead. Azrael mentions on what Izuku believes, even mentioning that he idolizes All Might in his universe too and was never left for dead. But All Might as well, your family and friends never gave up on trying to look for you, even if it took 5 years or more than that for them to find you. Azrael mentions that All Might and everyone that Izuku holds dearly never gave up hope on looking for him, even if it took them 5 years or more than that. Izuku stands up, removes his Azrael metal mask and drops it on the floor. That's a very good speech, Azrael. This means Azrael succeeded on redeeming Izuku and talks him out of getting revenge for being left for dead as All Might and the others arrive at the scene to extract them both. Muzudafu Museum. Azrael is carrying the Azrael Suit of Sorrow and Sword of Sin of this mainstream universe and putting them back in display in the museum. Azrael looks at the description, which is a sign next to it. Oh, so there was a Order of Saint Dumas after all. except unlike in my Azrael universe the Order of Saint Dumas ceased to exist long before the arrival of the modern day and quirks. Azrael smiled in surprise realizing that there was a Order of Saint Dumas in the mainstream universe, which concludes explanation why there is a Azrael suit of sorrow and sword of sin in the first place here. Well, some things are better left in the past. UA Hi. Izuku now back into his original Deku hero costume. Izuku/Deku is hugged by his family and friends who were grateful that Azrael succeeded on redeeming him. Right now Azrael mentions that he will now return to his universe since he's done here. A portal opens that's coming from the Azrael universe since Azrael has a beacon with him to signal when he's ready to return home. Hey Azrael, will we ever see you again? Inko asks him if he will return someday. It depends if something happens here again and I will have to return to this variant of the mainstream universe a second time. Azrael vows to return if something happens in this variant of the mainstream universe again. Oh, and Izuku, just be careful when you fight a super villain, so you don't disappear a second time. And you know I will, Azrael. Izuku smiled while having both his arms in the back of his head as Uraraka and Himiko throwing their arms around him. On Izuku, like in my Azrael universe, the world will need a new guardian, a new protector, a new symbol of peace, a new all-might. That mantle will be soon passed on. Izuku and everyone knows what Azrael means by that, and mantle will soon be passed on to him once All Might's time is over. Oh, and Azrael, tell Nana I said hello. All Might's Nana Shimura is dead in this mainstream universe but is alive in the Azrael universe. I swear to God I will. Azrael waves goodbye as he enters the portal before it closes and thus returning to his Azrael universe. I just hope he be careful with his Momo since she's his lover in the Azrael universe. Itsuka joked with the mainstream Momo who's blushing in the same color red. Izukumidoriya/Azrael's POV. After returning from the mainstream universe I spend my whole break time with my family including Momo and Himiko. Suddenly I've been texted by Ursula Aquinas and none of the Order of Saint Dumas telling me they need me to return to the temple for a while because it's probably important that they need me to hear about this. Ursula tells me never to forget about what's more important is the family other than saving the world. Yeah, I remember that all too well when they brought me into the order and gave me that strong will quirk. So I say goodbye for now to my family and I promise them I will return once I'm finished with my talk with the order. End of POV. Order of Saint Dumas Temple, unknown location in Europe. Azrael enters the temple, which somewhat resembles a very large church. After entering like his first time there he can barely see the faces of the people due to their dark hoods covering their faces except for the nuns. What else is the same red cross that originally belonged to the Knights Templar. Azrael then get down on his knees as he is approached by the leaders of the order. Azrael, protector of fate, you have returned to us. As you requested, Grand Mstr Venres Dumas, Azrael calls out the name of the leader of the order. You're fully aware of the All Might's condition will begin to worsen, and once that's done his time as the symbol of peace for the people will be over. The only reason why Venres Dumas and the rest of order knows about that is because Azrael texts them about this. But crime will not stop there. In time the world will need a new guardian, a new protector, a new symbol of peace. Azrael mentions even if All Might leaves, it doesn't mean crime is going to stop there, and once All Might's time as the symbol of peace is over a new one needs to come in his place. That mantle of the symbol of peace should be passed on to a new warrior, Villian said to Azrael. To you, Azrael, the protector of fate, the nun Lidvia Lorenzetti said the mantle of the symbol of peace should be passed on to him, although Azrael thought of that before and previously. You should be the one who will become All Might's successor as the symbol of peace and hope for the people. Rymia said if he does becomes All Might's successor, he can give the people hope just like All Might did before. It's likely Nana Shimura did the same thing before she disappeared and was presumed dead, and so did her predecessors that came before her. Azrael mentions Nana did the same thing, especially the predecessors. There also one thing that we know you will never do, Azrael. Father Creel said next that there is something that Azrael will never do ever. You can strike All Might down and take his place as his successor and thus end his suffering at the hands of that injury that he has sustained years ago, a random member tells him, but that's something Azrael will never do. But we all know that you'll never do that because you will say that just wrong. Asako Kusakabe said to Azrael that it will be something he can never do. I prefer that All Might retires from his role as the symbol of peace. Azrael implies that he will wait until All Might retires, then he would rise up as All Might's successor. That will be all, Azrael, you can return home now. Venrez tells Azrael that they are finished speaking with him and he can now return to Multiverse City. Oh, one more thing, even you will need to find a successor to take the mantle as Azrael when you're ready to step down, or Sola reminds him that he needs a successor when he is ready to step down as Azrael. That, I can do. Azrael then unsheath his wrist blade, then form a circle and disappears in a cloud of smoke. Oh, Azrael will also have to speak to All Might about this too, or Sola mentions to everyone that Azrael will have to speak to All Might about becoming his successor once his time is over. We are pretty sure that Azrael will speak with All Might about it. Ascalon said that they all know Azrael will talk to All Might. Midoriya apartment, Multiverse City. Izuku, still wearing his Azrael suit of sorrow, opens up his large computer because he has discovered another alternate universe. He really needs to have a look at it due to what he has discovered about it. Okay, in this alternate universe I died at the hands of Shirogaki, aka All for One and the leader of the League of Villains. Since my death, the Order of Saint Dumas says the world still needs an Azrael. I would like to know who is the second Azrael that took my place in this alternate universe. Izuku/Azrael gets a full visual of that alternate universe to see who is the second Azrael that took his counterpart's place. The second Azrael is teamed up with the vigilante heroes Iwao Aguro aka Knucklebuster, Koichi Himawari aka Crawler, and Kazuho Hanayama aka Popstep against a brainwashed Tomao Aguro who is the Iwao's daughter. Also an ally to the three vigilante heroes is Makoto Tsukachi. I think I'll name this alternate universe, Azrael Universe X. Izuku/Azrael gave that alternate universe his name. From that alternate universe known as Azrael Universe X. A door smashes open and approaching the three vigilante heroes and their ally Makioto is second Azrael. If you're so desperate on saving your daughter from whoever is brainwashing her, then allow me to give the three of you vigilante heroes a hand. The second Azrael, who turns out to be a woman, offers her service to help the vigilante heroes retrieve Tomao from her brainwashed self. The everything hero Momo Yayorozu aka Creati, I assume? Iwao/Knucklebuster said after recognizing her voice. I prefer, Azrael. It turns out Momo Yayorozu aka Creati, who was also the lover of Izuku of this alternate universe, and she has donned the Azrael suit of sorrow after his death. All she did is refit the suit of sorrow. Back in the Azrael universe. So Momo from that alternate universe is the second Azrael and my counterpart's lover. Now that's something. Izuku/Azrael shuts his computer off but notice someone is there with him after seeing the reflection in his black screen computer. Izuku Midoriya, I presume. The intruder revealed to be woman with red long hair. I prefer, Azrael. Izuku/Azrael answered and pulls out his sword of sin. I'm Karaka Hasaki, aka Slice. She introduced herself. Multiverse City. It seems to be a calm and peaceful right now, or is it? The window of the Midoriya residence where Izuku/Azrael's bedroom is has been smashed, and falling out the window is the new female supervillain named Karaka Hasaki aka Slice after Izuku/Azrael power punched her with his full gauntlet. Well, she landed on the streets. Karaka/Slice rolls to move out the way when Azrael throws a metal chair at her. Streets. That full gauntlet, you got that from I-Island? Azrael nods his head as a yes. Well, let me show you this, and it's my quirk. Karaka/Slice's red long hair moves on his own slashes at Azrael. Although he managed to evade it, the damage of her red long hair had enough power to slice a light pole in half. My talk about armored piercing. Azrael refers Karaka/Slice red long hair slicing quirk like an armored piercing bullet. Well, that may be so, but my red long hair is like Medusa, the snake-haired lady. Karaka/Slice refers herself like Medusa from ancient Greek mythology. Ah yes, Medusa. She was a appealing maiden until a enraged Athena turned her appealing hair into serpents, which are snakes, and made her face so terrible which in turn will cause anyone to turn into stone whenever they look her in the eye. Azrael utters everything he knows about Medusa. But in the world we live in, my quirk is like a slicing snake, able to cut through even the strongest metal, but they don't bite at all, and my hair is almost like metal too. Karaka said as she makes another slash at Azrael but miss again. Azrael throws her a punch on the face and then a kick to the gut sending her flying and slamming to a car door. That's smart, Karaka/Slice commented for that damage inflicted by Azrael. Azrael attacks her again but this time with his sword of sin but she was able to avoid being impaled. She then kicks him making him let go of his sword of sin that gets stuck on the car's door. Karaka/Slice slashes her hair at him again but he uses his wrist blade as a makeshift defense. Slash on this Karaka. Azrael grabs her red long hair, takes her off the ground and starts spinning her around. Whoa! Karaka/Slice screamed for being spinning around before being thrown and smashing into a truck. Azrael grabs her again then slams her face on the truck 10 times before Karaka elbows him to get him to stop that. The two proceeds on punching each other on the face which in turn brings the brief fight to an end. Azrael and Karaka/Slice collapse on the road already exhausted themselves while the fight comes to a stalemate. Hey Azrael. What is it? Our fight may have come to a stalemate but I think I'll tell you who I work for and what we are planning. Karaka/Slice will just allow Azrael to know who she's working for and what they are planning. I work for 9 who is empowered all for one's quirk. What he is planning is to create a world or a society without heroes or villains and where those with the strongest quirk will rule over the weaker quirks. Karaka/Slice reveals who's she working and what 9 is planning. I think 9 is just insane as every quirk supervillain on Earth. Azrael dismissed that as insanity. Oh, believe what you want Azrael, see you at Nabu Island. Karika/Slice says her goodbye to Azrael but vows to see him again when he gets to Nabu Island. Nabu Island huh? Azrael never been at Nabu Island so he wonders what's on that island. Shigaraki, just what are up to this time? Azrael asks himself assuming Shigaraki of the League of Villains is behind because 9's quirk is actually used by Shigaraki. Dagoba Beach. Izuku/Azrael sits alone in the bench located in Dagoba Beach. Azrael pulls out his iPad and hacks into the security cameras to see any last night's crime problems somewhere in Japan, that will answer his question where 9 came from. Now to see where did you come from 9, Azrael said to himself after he found one high-speed pursuit in the outskirts of Japan that was some night ago. He watches multiple police forces and pro-heroes are in pursuit of the League of Villains who are escaping in an armored truck. That armored truck is carrying a cargo requested by some doctor named Garaki. The cargo has a large strange fluid-filled life support tank harboring a man. That's got to be 9, Azrael said to himself suspecting the man in the support tank is really 9. Dabi/Blueflame, Atsuhiro Seiko/Mr. Compress and Shuichi Iguchi/Spinner were able to hold off their pursuers with their cremation, compress and gecko quirk. That got them, but I wonder who alerted the authorities, Shuichi/Spinner said causing the 3 League of Villains to suspect an information leak. But before they can think they get interrupted by a roadblock guarded by the police, more heroes, and Enji Todoroki/Endeavor. Oh Shoto's father, Azrael said after recognizing him, he doesn't see very much of him in the past before becoming Azrael especially now. Dabi/Blueflame used the blast of his flames at Enji/Endeavor but he used his flash fire fist/jet burn and when both attacks colliding this causes a cancelling of each other. We are not through yet. Dabi/Blueflame lets out a massive blast of his flames, tries this out for flames. Enji/Endeavor counters with his prominence burn, that power easily overpowers Dabi/Blueflame's attack and the flames engulfs the armored truck. Dabi/Blueflame, Atsuhiro Seiko/Mr. Compress and Shuichi Iguchi/Spinner melted into piles of sludge which implies they were never the real ones. Jean Bubaigawara aka Twice, Azrael suspects that Jean/Twice has cloned the 3 villains. The armored truck crashes into the surrounding forest, then Enji/Endeavor and the other pro-heroes went to examine the wreckage. They found the life support tank empty. Must be some kind of new type of Nomu, that's what Enji/Endeavor believes but to Azrael, 9 isn't anything like that, he's something far more than that. Meanwhile, 9 stumbles into the forest and up a small hill where he rendezvous with his team or crew, Chojuro Lan/Chimera, Hoyo Makihara/Mummy and Karaka Hasaki/Slice. The experiment was a success. 9 tells them, What's the next plan now, boss? Chojuro/Chimera ask what's the next plan they are going to participate in now. Before we do that, I want to get or attract Azrael's attention. 9 wants to get Azrael's attention first. You want to get Azrael, Knight of the Order of Saint Dumas involved. Hoyo/Mummy wonders. I meant getting him to try to stop us since we all know he killed a few villains in his journey to eradicate crime just like all of the quirk heroes despite the fact these heroes don't kill like him. 9 explains why he wants Azrael involved. Slice, that will be your task to get Azrael's attention and you will tell him what I'm up to. 9 requested that Karaka/Slice approach Azrael and warned him what he's planning. With pleasure, Karaka/Slice immediately departs for Muzutafu's city to meet up Azrael there. Present time. Izuku/Azrael finish watching what he hacked on the security cameras, then suddenly he gets a text message and it's from Karaka Hasaki/Slice. The text message says, "You better hurry up and get to Nabu Island as soon as possible because your fellow heroes from UA High will be going there as well. 9 will be waiting for you there and so will I, Azrael. I'm definitely going to see you there, Karaka/Slice." Izuku/Azrael leaves a response on text message and departs for Nabu Island. Izukumidoriya/Azrael's POV. I await for the students of Class 1A to be here in Nabu Island. They've been informed by Shota Aizawa/Eraserhead that they will be participating on the UA High's safety program that's sponsored by the Public Safety Commission to help with their training after everyone obtained their provisional licenses. Well, the work here is very minor deeds because Nabu Island has low crime rate. The only trouble that's coming is 9 and his crew, but only I'm aware that he's here somewhere. End of POV. Nabu Island. Well, here we are here, Shoto said after they got to Nabu Island. Hey everyone, what took you so long? Ha. Momo/Creati, who recognized that voice, turned to the source where the voice came from. Izuku. Momo with tears of joy runs to Izuku/Azrael to embrace him. You know what, I think Azrael was away from her for that long and so Momo hasn't seen him for quite some time already. Kyoka/Earphone Jack concluded that Izuku/Azrael and Momo hasn't seen each other for quite some time. Oh Izuku, I haven't seen you for some time, I was so worried about you. I couldn't be happier. Momo, I think you should let go of him now. You're crushing him, Denki warns Momo, who notices Izuku/Azrael's face is starting to turn blue due to being crushed and he's lacking any oxygen. Sorry Izuku, Momo let go and apologies to Izuku/Azrael for nearly crushing him in the embrace. That's okay Momo, and good to see you too. Izuku/Azrael suddenly collapse and knocked out. Nice one Momo, Ijiro/Red Riot said, laughing a bit on what Momo accidentally did to her lover. Izuku/Azrael's POV. After I came to, everyone has plenty of tasks to do, like fixing a farmer's tractor battery, lost pets, assisting an old lady who has a broken back to the hospital, patrolling the skies above Nabu Island. Some just want to monitor popular tourist areas like the beach, even clearing highway roads blocked by boulders that wasn't supposed to be there, helping fisherman and his family load up on the truck and fixing a scooter. I'm teamed up with Uraraka/Uravity, Kyoka/Earphone Jack and Momo/Creati on locating a lost kid. But I'm still being cautious about 9 and his crew, who will be causing trouble whenever that is. End of POV. The 4 heroes finally located the lost child named Katsuma Shimano at the park area. Oh, so you were with your sister Mihoro the whole time, Azrael said after they managed to find Katsuma with his sister Mihoro. In the park area, Azrael, in the park, Katsuma said to him where they found them. I was timing you Azrael and so was your fellow heroes, but you all took about an hour late to locate my brother. Miharo scolds Azrael just for that. I disapprove you of being a hero, Mihoro, and leaves with her brother. Sheesh, talk about a bad attitude. I don't mind being scolded by a child, Kyoka. Azrael said that he doesn't mind being scolded by a child as he started texting All Might back in the mainland, but he noticed Katsuma waving goodbye to him and he waved goodbye too. UA High School. Who's texting you, Toshinori? Shota/Eraserhead asked after hearing a text message coming from Toshinori/All Might's cell phone. It's from Azrael. He's in Nabu Island too, but he isn't there to have fun. He says there could be trouble coming to Nabu Island, Toshinori/Allmight said after reading Azrael's text message. What? But Nabu Island doesn't have much villains. Shoto wonders what Azrael means by that. He had a visit from a new female villain named Karaka Hisaka aka Slice who works for a villain known as Nine. Azrael was told by Slice that Nine will target Nabu Island. Toshinori/Allmight finished the rest of Azrael's text message. You think we should go and help them? Of course, Azrael can't always do things alone all the time. I know he doesn't know that I'm retired yet, but he will soon learn of that. And when he said there should be a new All-Might, the mantle of the symbol of peace should be passed on to him, Toshinori/Allmight said, but he still wonders if Azrael has anything else to predict. Nabu Island. While everyone including Azrael is on break after the end of the day, the father Katsuma and Mahoro is attacked by Chimera who knocks him out. Nice work Chimera. Nine then proceeds to steal his quirk but theorizes that his children will be the key to his powers. Has Azrael arrived at Nabu Island yet? Nine asks Karaka/Slice to know if Azrael has arrived at Nabu Island. Azrael is in the house, but he got here before we did. That's okay, but I guess he probably knows that we are here too. Azrael and Momo, who was told by Katsuma that there was a villain nearby, leads them to ancient castle ruins located southwest in a peninsula. The villain shows itself and it turns out to be a giant praying mantis. Azrael pulls out of his sword of sin and slash at the giant praying mantis, but his sword of sin only went past it. A hologram really? Azrael commented after learning it was a hologram the whole time. Just a prank Azrael. Mahoro comes out of hiding revealing she's behind it. The prank. Let me guess, your quirk is hologram. Yes, it is Azrael, Mahoro said, but Azrael turns away for the moment because he can sense that Nine and his crew are on Nabu Island. They are funny, aren't they? Momo said while laughing a bit. Yes, they are, Momo, but Azrael knows that Mahoro is still scolding him. The next day. Everyone all except for Azrael resumes their daily schedule hero work while Azrael speaks with Katsuma again. My sister actually hates the heroes and wanted to discourage me from ever being one. Katsuma explains what's in his sister's mind. She's just afraid that hero work is dangerous. Our mother died for particular illness and our father had to leave for work out of the island and left us behind. Katsuma tells Azrael about their life before meeting him and the rest of the other heroes. Sorry to hear that, Katsuma. Next day. Katsuma meets back with his sister Mahoro at the same park where he met izukumidoriya/Azrael. Mahoro, despite of what you say, I still want to be a hero. The conversation was cut short when Nine and his villain team hijacked a ferry and crashes it in the Nabu harbor. Run for your life. A random civilian shouted and all of the residents flee as Nine and his team arrives. Well, now that we have arrived, let's begin our assault. Nine said, then he and his villain team attacks the place. Karaka Hisaki/Slice use her slice quirk to destroy all of the ships at the harbor, probably to prevent anyone from trying to leave the island, while Nine and the rest of his crew continue their assault. We need to contact the Class 1A, terrified of what they are seeing. Katsuma and Mahoro makes contact, but the phone ended up getting cut off when Chanjuro/Chimera destroys the communication towers, rendering all connection to the outside world severed. But this is one way to get Azrael's attention. Okay, let's find the two kids, Nine said as Makihara/Mummy runs into Toru/Invisible Girl in the shopping district, but Toru managed get away, but no avail on communications. Class 1A HQ. Hey, does anyone know why the phone service is dead? Momo asks why this happened, but to Izuku/Azrael, he knows that Nine is here on Nabu Island. Thankfully the residents notifies them of the villains attacking the shopping districts. The villains are attacking the beach, Fumikage/Tsukimi reported after returning. 9. Azrael said after deducing that this is all his doing. Who's that? Momo asked him after mentioning his name. Before I came here, I had visitor named Karaka Hisaka aka Slice who works for Nine. Nine's primary objective is to create a world or a society without heroes or villains, and the ones with the strongest quirk will rule over the ones with weaker quirk. I only see 9 as insane like every super-villain quirk. The last thing I was informed by Karaka is that 9 is empowered with Shiragaki's all-for-one quirk. Azrael now mentions his encounter with Karaka/Slice and what he was told by her. Is that the real reason why you came to Nabu Island to begin with? Kaken asks if that's the main and real reason for Azrael's coming to Nabu Island. Because they drawn me here, Azrael said, and believes they wanted him to be in Nabu Island in the first place. Hospital clinic downtown. Toru/invisible girl alone fends off Makihara/Mummy's mummified puppets, which seems to be endless, until Azrael arrives with his team to provide assistance. "Ah, nice of you to join us, Azrael," Makihara/Mummy said, smirking now that Azrael is here. "Yeah, I know, Mummy." Azrael eventually destroys all of his mummified puppets with exploding shurikens. "That was very of you, Azrael. Maybe I can make you my mummified puppet too." Makihara/Mummy attempts to capture Azrael and make him his puppet, but he quickly underestimates Azrael, who eventually sets him on fire with a single slash of his sword of sin, while Makihara/Mummy, who's on fire, started thrashing around trying to hit Azrael. Azrael slash him in the gut, causing him to halt before decapitating him in the end. And his decapitated head rolls and stops burning. "No morals, Azrael?" Kaken asks if Azrael isn't going to be moral on this, while most of the civilians look shocked on what Azrael just did. "We'll see how far I can go with that, Kaken." Beach. Shoto/Shudo, Tenya/Ingenium and Fumikage/Tsukiyu teamwork against the villain Chojuro/Chimera, but he completely outmatched all three of them all on his own. Meanwhile, we need to get back home. Katsuma and Mahoro runs away from the scene of the fighting and attempts to return home, but with bad luck they ran into 9. "Oh, let me check the both of you out." 9 uses weather quirk to scan the little kids and find this out. "Good, the boy has the exact BLD type that I need." Before he can steal Katsuma's cell activate quirk, he moves out of the way after nearly getting sliced in half from Azrael's sword of sin, who came to the rescue. "Hey 9, Azrael says hello to him as Katsuma and Mahoro run to the forest to hide. "I take it that you just killed Makihara/Mummy, 9 said after learning of Makihara/Mummy's demise. "Now I hit you." Azrael and 9 charge at each other, but 9 has something on both of his wrists to use as a makeshift blade against Azrael's sword of sin. Azrael evades each strike from 9 using his sword of sin. Azrael lands a punch, but 9 grabs his left wrist to prevent that. "Fast," Azrael said before headbutting 9 before continuing their fight of CQC. 9 grabs Azrael and throws him, but Azrael grabs into the steel bar to spin him around and land safely. In the end, Azrael jump spin kick, sending 9 slamming into a brick wall. "That didn't even faze me, Azrael." 9 shoots a purple laser at Azrael, who used his sword of sin to block the shot, but a part of the purple laser cuts through his right side of the abdomen, wounding him. Frightened by this, Mahoro used her hologram quirk to create an image of a wounded Azrael to alert everyone else. "Now I kill you," but Azrael counters by throwing in 3 exploding shuriken that forces 9 to retreat in the process as Kaken and Momo arrives at the scene. 9 still survives that and retreats with Chimera and Slice from the beach. Hospital clinic. Momo stays with Azrael as the medical staff were able to treat Azrael's wounds. Unfortunately, he is too wounded to be fixed. "Azrael, allow me to help." Katsuma use his cell activation quick to heal him. "Thanks, Katsuma." Azrael thanks him as Momo throws her arms around him, feeling relieved that he's okay now. "I'm noticing something about 9, he's also very sick. It's because of Shiragaki's all-for-one quirk that he also has with him, that may also be a weakness that eventually lead to his defeat. 9 also has multiple quirks on him which will make him a major threat to all of us," Azrael mentions to everyone as Katsuma decide to reveal this. "I'm the target," Katsuma said, because earlier 9 wanted to steal his cell activation quirk until Azrael stepped in. "We need to come up with a plan to stop 9 and his team," Kaken said, "but they need to devise a plan before they can proceed. We need to relocate the civilians first to the isolated peninsula where the ancient castle is located. That area can hold them while we engage 9 and his team. Kyoka, you guard Katsuma and Mahoro while Toru stay with the civilians. As for the rest of us, we'll deal with 9 and his team." Azrael devised the plan, so Kyoka and Toru agrees with the task. Oh, and as long as Nine's illness up, he can only use his quirka for only a limited time, overdoing it can kill Nine in the end if he goes way too far with it. Well, that's good news, Shoto/Shudo said, smirking with fun. Oh, I did text All Might for reinforcements, but we are on our own for now because it will take them time to get here. Azrael, you're going kill Nine, aren't you? Momo, who had her arms wrapped around him, asked if that's what he's going to do. Like I said before, just how far can I go without being moral? izukumidoriya/Azrael's POV. Nine was able to recover from his illness, so he, Karaka/Slice and Chandro/Chimera go after Katsuma in the Onisent castle where we wait for them since I came up with a preemptive strike. Nine was able to block our attacks with his barrier quirk, but we are able to separate Slice and Chimera thanks to Momo using 2 massive cannons to knock them into an underground cavern and a nearby waterfall. Uraraka/Uravity makes her move by using boulders at Nine, but he counters it with his barrier and laser quirk. She launches more boulders at him, but he isn't stopping in his tracks. With Minoru/Grape Juice's help they cause a massive rock slide in order to bury Nine, but he still was able to break free so easily. Momo ended up getting knocked out when she tried to engage Nine herself. Me and Kaken charge at Nine. Everyone all except for me ended up getting knocked out by Nine's water dragon quirk, which I was the only one who was able to evade it before impact. End of POV. Battlefield. So it's just you and me now, Azrael. Nine prepares another duel with Azrael. Another duel? Let's do it. Azrael tightens his grip on his sword of sin, ready to duel Nine a second time. But suddenly Nine's illness returns because he has reached his limited. No. Not now. Nine shouted up in the sky because it's too soon. Just as the duel is about to start, Azrael used this an opportunity to cut him down, but Nine activates his life support to take a heavy dose of steroids and goes beyond his limit that summons a massive lightning strike that was supposed to vaporize Azrael. This isn't over, Nine, Azrael warned him as he shielded himself from the lightning strike using his sword of sin and wrist blade before getting rammed by Karaka/Slice, who just returned. Somewhere else. Last time our fight when we first met was a stalemate. Well, let's make sure it isn't this time, Karaka/Slice said to Azrael. Well, see Karaka, then the two engage in a second round. Karaka used her long red hair as a makeshift blade to counter Azrael's sword of sin and wrist blade, although she did take a couple of hits by Azrael's punches and kicks. Azrael then blows a part of her hair with an exploding shuriken. That was very unpleasant. Then Karaka/Slice retaliates by firing multiple barrages of needles at him. Azrael was able to evade all of that but gets wounded in the process. Karaka/Slice rams him again, causing him to drop his sword of sin as she began to punch him in the face left and right, causing his face mask to come off. I'm going to beat you to death, Azrael. But Azrael counters by charming her with a kiss that causing Karaka/Slice to flush red and make her pause. Azrael then knocks her out by smashing a broken wooden box on her head. Sometimes the charm can help if your opponent is a girl, Azrael commented as he retrieves his face mask and sword of sin. Azrael makes his attempt to find Nine but gets interrupted by Chimera in the nearby waterfall. You want to get Nine, you have to come through me, Azrael. Chimera then uses his quick to transform and grow his body bigger, then he fires a massive red laser at him, but he uses his grapple gun to evade it. I never run away from a battle, Chimera. Azrael noted that he isn't running away from him. Azrael pulls out disruptor rifle and shoots at Chimera that cause him to revert back to his original form or size. What did you do? Chimera demanded to know what did he do to him that caused him to come back to his original form. Oh, all I did is disrupt your quirk, Azrael answers before he kills him by decapitation while his guard is down. Nine has defeated everyone else and now he takes Mihoro hostage. You will surrender your quirk to me or I kill her. That's a bargain for Mihoro's life that Nine is making with Katsuma. Before an answer can be given, Azrael returns and kicks Nine in both arms, causing him to let go of Mihoro. You've dealt with all of my companions, Nine said, rubbing both his injured arms. Chimera is dead, but Karaka is just fine, Azrael answered. Nine fell to his knees again as he reached his limit once again, giving Azrael a opening on trying to end him. But Nine still has some fight in him to counter Azrael's sword of sin and wrist blade when he slashes at him multiple times. Azrael still lands some hits at him which are kicks and punches, even sending him smashing into a wall. I'm so in the verge of defeat, so I will try my weather quirk now. 9 Use his weather quirk to summon a massive tornado that will destroy the island. You just sign your death warrant. Azrael charges full speed at 9 and rams him. Momo shields Katsuma and Mahoro from the battle that Azrael and 9 are going to finish now. Azrael was able to disable his weather quirk thanks to his disruptor rifle, causing the tornado to disappear. Azrael slashes his sword of sin at 9, but he keeps on blocking, like grabbing his hand, trying to force him to let go of his sword of sin. Azrael tries to stab him with his wrist blade, but he grabs that hand too, after a struggle. Azrael was able to break free and punches 9 right in the face before damaging his life support system after jabbing his wrist blade with it. 9 won't be able to fight back any longer. Next, Azrael knees him in the gut 3 times. Well, 9, you always are insane like every villain on earth. And just like that, Azrael kills him by jabbing his sword of sin on the gut, but Azrael made sure 9 is truly dead before pulling his sword of sin out of him. 9 drops to the ground dead, leaving Azrael the only one on his feet while everyone calms down as the battle is now over. izukumidoriya / Azrael's POV. Everyone who is new, including Katsuma and Mahoro, are shocked to see that I kill and not be moral toward 9 and his crew, except for Karaka / Slice. But they came to an understanding since Nabu Island is one of the many areas that watched my speech a long time ago. They also know I was moral in the past too. Then All Might and the other pro-heroes has arrived and tells us we will be continuing our stay on Nabu Island until it's time for us to returning home, while they repair the damaged island and help everyone else. Also to clean up dead bodies that I left behind too. End of POV. 2 weeks later. Azrael sits alone with Momo, Katsuma and Mahoro by his side because he's acting like he doesn't feel good about actions anymore as All Might approaches them. Izuku, I believe that you should know that I'm already retired. All Might choose to tell Izuku / Azrael that he's now retired. You didn't have to tell me that, I already knew that anyway. But the world will need a new All Might, a new guardian, a new symbol of hope. The title should pass on to a new warrior, to me, Azrael said, but despite the killing that he has done, it's likely All Might will consider it's because Izuku always idolizes him long before he became Azrael. I know you always idolize me, so I might consider it, but in time you will stay moral with your actions, and I notice the look in your face that you don't seem to feel good about not being moral this time, so I assume you will reform in the end, and maybe the Order of Saint Dumas will also reform into moral ways. Hey Azrael, I apologize for saying bad things about being a hero. Mahoro apologies to him, and this means she accepts her brother Katsuma's wishes to be a hero just like him and everyone on Earth against the war on crime. That's okay Mahoro, an apology accepted. Azrael, I wanted to be as strong as you and All Might. Katsuma wishes to be as strong as he and All Might when he becomes a hero in the future. BLAM. But before Azrael can say anything else, a gunshot was fired at him caused by Karaka Hisaka / Slice, who was able to evade arrest and armed herself with a Desert Eagle 19 pistol. See you in hell Azrael, Karaka / Slice said before she shoots Azrael repeatedly. BLAM. Karaka / Slice shoots Azrael repeatedly until she emptied the entire Desert Eagle 19 clip, then disappearing with smoke bombs. Izuku. A tearful Momo grabs him before he can falls on the floor. All Might, Mahoro and Katsuma helps him up. Please don't leave me. A tearful Momo begged Izuku / Azrael not to die and leave her. Come on Izuku, you can make it. All Might trying to get Izuku / Azrael to stay awake. Stay with us Azrael. Katsuma also in the verge of tears along with his sister begging Izuku / Azrael to stay with them and not die. Momo. Izuku / Azrael said only Momo's name and dies. No. Izuku Midoriya / Azrael's POV. Karaka Hisaka aka Slice just shot me multiple times with her Desert Eagle until she emptied her clip, and now I'm dead. Oh, I forgot about my 2-year disappearances ever since agents from the Order of Saint Dumas abducted me and took me into their circle. After my long training was finished and my time came to be Azrael, they noted that I won't be able to die no matter how fatal my wounds or injuries I get from my enemies. If I get blown up by a rocket launcher for example, then I'm truly dead because I'm not coming back from that. End of POV. Nabu Island present time. Momo is still crying and cradling her lover Izuku/Azrael that's now dead, then felt herself being touched by Izuku/Azrael himself, who then kissed her passionately. Izuku, you're alive. Izuku/Azrael shows that the gunshot wounds are healed and all of the bullets have all come off of him. Maybe I can better explain this somewhere else, but I want everyone to gather so they can listen to what I have to say about this. I can gather everyone around. All Might tells him that he can tell everyone to gather for Izuku/Azrael's explanations that he's going to talk about. Thanks All Might. Nabu Island Class 1A HQ. Well, now that everyone is here and gather, plus I want the world all except for the villains to hear about this too, and here it goes. During my 2-year disappearances, which was caused by order of Saint Damas, and during my time with them, long after my training was completed and acquiring my tackle quirk, they told me I was ready to become Azrael, the Knight of the Order of Saint Damas. All I did is put on the suit of sorrow and wield the sword of sin. Before it was time for me to leave and return to Muzutafu's city, they noted that I have also become immortal, because Azrael is really an ancient immortal warrior. So that means no matter how fatal my wounds or injuries I sustain from my enemies, I cannot die, I can never die. But there is one way I can die, and I'm not come back from that. Azrael spouts out everything that has happened to him during his 2-year disappearances, become Azrael, his immortality, and one way for him to die. What's that, Azrael? Katsuma asks. What's the only way he can die? You really want to know? Yes, we all want to know. The only way I can die is if I got blown up by a rocket launcher. The same thing can happen if get caught in an explosion if I was inside a building rigged to explode. Izuku/Azrael reveals the only possible ways that he can only die from. Okay, I suggest that we keep this all a secret, because we cannot risk any of the villains to know of this, otherwise they will grab a rocket launcher and they can kill Izuku with it. Do we all agree with that? All Might suggested that this weakness of Izuku/Azrael is kept a secret, or the villains from all of the world will try to be sure his death is ensured, and everyone agrees with All Might's suggestion. Now that you're done with your speech and explanation, can you please just come home now? Momo begs Izuku/Azrael to come home now. I've been gone a long time, Momo. Yes, I will come home now. I can deal with Karaka aka Slice some other time, and I bet she doesn't even know about my immortality because she already left Nabu Island. Izuku/Azrael agrees to come home now and vow to deal with Karaka/Slice some other time, even thinking that she doesn't even know about his immortality because she already left Nabu Island without knowing about it. Order of Saint Dumas Temple Europe. Looks like Izuku just told his friends, his lover, and the world all except for the villains of his immortality and weakness, or Sola Aquinas said to Lidvia Lorenzetti after they learning that Izuku/Azrael revealed his immortality and weakness. I don't think that matters anymore. Lidvia says it would matter anyway. Midoriya apartment. Izuku Midoriya/Azrael is busy at the moment cleaning and shining up his sword of sin, his wrist blade and a full gauntlet. After he finished shining them all up, he looks behind him at his camera, looking at the audiences watching, and prepares for his speech. Why hello there everyone, Izuku Midoriya aka Azrael here, as my story in MHA, Azrael continues. There will be a final arc of my story. I call it, The Life Without Azrael. What happened in that final arc is, having been told by Karaka Hasaki/Slice, the League of Villains led by Shigaraki/All for One battles me. I defeat some of them, but in the end Shigaraki/All for One had me blown up by a rocket launcher right in front of my friends and my lovers, Momo and Himiko. The only thing that flew into the air after I got blown up is my sword of sin that landed near Momo. Enraged by my death, she picks it up and angrily charges against Shiragaki/All for One, but All Might tells her to stand down because the entire of League of Villains have already retreated. Everyone mourns me, even Momo, who tearfully cradles my sword of sin in her arms. Himiko has done the same too. All Might told everyone that they all vow justice to the League of Villains for what they did to me. Meanwhile, Nana Shimura stays with the Order of Saint Damas after she and them have learned of my demise, and they plan to resurrect me no matter what. Well, in the end they succeeded on doing so using some kind of resurrection magic mix with the one for all quirk that's infuses with me. Oh, the vigilantes stick around there too. While they were doing that, I was someone stuck in some kind of void-like realm where I speak to someone I couldn't even see except for the voice, which I deduce is probably the previous user of the One for All quirk before Nana had it. I also watch flashbacks when the Order of Saint Dumas were still members of the Templar Order during the Age of the Crusades. After my resurrection was completed, I returned to battle and greeted everyone, including Momo and Himiko, who tearfully embraced me for my return. Melissa Shields had my full gauntlet repaired. Apparently that wasn't destroyed, it survived but taken some damage to it. When the final battle against Shigaraki/All for One begins, something odd happens. I eventually lose control of myself and violently attack Shigaraki/All for One. Everyone deduces and believes the One for All quirk that Nana gave or infused into me is having side effects on me, which was something they've only seen for the first time. After I violently defeat Shigaraki/All for One and completely made him immobile, Momo steps in to stop and reason with me after I was going to kill him. She embraced me after the first attempt on reasoning with me didn't stop me from trying to kill Shigaraki/All for One. Momo tells me that side effects of One for All quirk is already making me suffer from it. She tells me that she loves me with all her heart and tearfully begs me not to leave her all alone. Himiko would have said the same thing to me if she stepped in. I eventually came back to my senses, and so we had Shigaraki/All for One arrested and imprisoned in Tartarus prison, and the rest of the League of Villains retreated, but we'll catch them again. I have no idea how my story will end in the aftermath, but the fanfic writer will decide that. Well, the final part in the ending, I become the new symbol of hope in All Might's place. Well, I'm now done with my speech for the final arc, The Life Without Azrael. But before that arc happens, I and everybody else need to meet Eri, who has a rewind quirk. Multiverse City. Izukumidoriya aka Azrael has finally returned to Multiverse City, but everyone here still believes he's missing. Izuku/Azrael is only jumping through rooftops and using his grapple gun to swing to higher house or buildings sometimes. When Izuku/Azrael lands on the next house that was a little more higher, he just heard a slap sound, as in someone just got slapped somewhere. Better investigate this. Azrael swings to another building to investigate where that slap came from anyway. When he got to the source of it, he sees the pro-hero Enji Todoroki aka Endeavor, and on the ground in front of him is his wife Rei Todoroki, and it seems she has the red slap print on her face. Azrael, who sees this, growls in anger because this is his point of view about Endeavor. Azrael's POV. Enji Todoroki aka Endeavor, he's a pro-hero in second place. His primary objective is to reach number 1 after All Might's time is over, but he's being selfish about it. He has strained relationship with his family, and mostly he abuses Shoto whenever he was training him to be a strong heir to the family, but the training is very harsh and violent. His wife Rei also gets abused sometimes, like when she came to Shoto's defense, but because her husband's domestic abuse that was too much, she ended up having a mental breakdown which landed her in the hospital. I have no idea how long she's been there because I never asked Shoto before I was taken by the Order of Saint Dumas. Well, looks like Rei is out, and yet her husband is still abusing her, and maybe Shoto too. He's gone too far. It's time that this all stops right now. End of POV. You beach. I was only training our son to be my heir. When my time is over, I want to come in All Might's place after he's done. I want the same thing for Shoto when my time is over. Such selfish longing because he has no right to abuse his wife and son just for that. This makes him almost like a villain instead of a hero. Azrael then appears after jumping down from the building he was on, and you're R. NG/Endeavor asks but gets a good look on the red cross on Azrael's suit of sorrow. Templar Knight? Not Templar, I'm Azrael, the Knight of the Order of Saint Dumas, a splinter faction of the Templar Order. The order exists in secret. Azrael introduces himself but without revealing who he is, even mentioning the Order of Saint Dumas. So are you and the Order of Saint Dumas, heroes? What about you, NG? You call yourself a hero, and yet you make domestic abuse to your son Shoto and your wife Rei for your selfish longing to be number 1 after All Might's time is over. Azrael changes the subject and angrily scolds NG/Endeavor for his selfish desires and domestic abuse. And don't talk to me that way. Azrael throws his sword of sin down on the ground and charges at NG/Endeavor. NG/Endeavor didn't get a chance to fight back because Azrael was faster than him. Azrael kicks Engie/Endeavor in the gut, then spins punches him causing him to fall face first on car then on the ground. He gets back up once again and attempts to use his Hellflame quirk but Azrael stuns him with his Disruptor rifle. Azrael then punches him in the face 3 times before knocking him the ground completely by kicking him in his right leg and punching him the face, and this time he stays down. Azrael then grabs a soccer ball that he found and bashes it on Engie/Endeavor's chest and draws out his wrist blade. Ray watches in horror thinking Azrael was going to kill Engie as retaliations for the abuse, but ultimately Azrael only stabs and pops the soccer ball. The wrist blade only was an inch into impaling Engie/Endeavor's chest. Next time I'll deflect all your selfish flaming ball and then I'll stick you to a cross, Engie. Azrael gave him Engie/Endeavor a warning and knocks him out after giving him a hard punch to the face. Azrael then approaches the bruised Ray Todoroki, then removes his hood and mask revealing his true identity to her. Izuku. Ray then hugs him realizing her savior was the boy who was her son Shoto's friend and the one went missing after getting abducted. Ah Ray. Can you just keep what you saw a secret for now? Why Izuku? I have my reasons, I'm just not ready to reveal myself because I want everyone to just know me as Azrael, the Knight of the Order of Saint Dumas. Okay, but will you reveal yourself one day? One day I will, then you can say whatever you want. Ray nodded, agreeing to keep Azrael's identity a secret for now until he is ready to reveal himself. Ray and Azrael make their farewell for now and Azrael uses his wrist blade to create a circle and disappears in a cloud of smoke. Where Azrael reappears is in the empty streets where he finds of dozens of missing posters of him leading to the beginning of the chapter. 2 years later Azrael. Present time. Izuku/Azrael is on rooftops next to the hospital monitors. Ray, who's back there after her mental breakdown, returns even though he already freed her from his husband Engie/Endeavor's abuse. Nothing ever goes away, does it? Izuku/Azrael jumps down from roof. He plans to visit Ray since Shoto and the rest her children can't be there right now. Hospital. Izukumidoriya/Azrael has just visited Ray Todoroki since Shoto and the rest of Ray's children can't be there now. Well, Ray can accept any visitors she gets, whether it's her children or anyone else she knows about, all except for her abusive husband. Izuku, Ray said, grateful that he's here to see her. Nice to see you again, Ray. I thought I freed you from your husband's abuse. Azrael told her he already freed her from husband's abuse and now she's here again. You did, but my mental breakdown came back so I had to come back here again. Ray told him that he succeeded on freeing her from Engie/Endeavor's domestic abuse, but her mental breakdown returns, which got her back in the hospital. So what happened to Engie after you gave him or taught him a valuable lesson? This is something that Azrael would gladly tell Ray on what happened to Engie. After he came to, he eventually exposed his domestic abuse for All Might and other pro-heroes, including the public, to hear, which in turn got him arrested and thrown in Tatter's prison. Azrael tells Ray what happened to Engie/Endeavor after Azrael taught him a valuable lesson. Everyone, including All Might, became disgusted for what Engie did to you and Shoto. They told him he probably will never be a pro-hero ever again after what he did to you and Shoto. Azrael implies that Engie's time as a pro-hero is over due to his domestic abuse toward Ray and Shoto, just for his selfish longing to be All Might's successor. All Might did tell him that Engie is a failure as a pro-hero for his domestic abuse, so All Might says, I am worthy of being All Might's successor. With Engie in prison for domestic abuse, Azrael will be worthy on becoming All Might's successor when the time comes. Well, that's good news. Hey Ray, wanna walk outside to get some air? Azrael only wants Ray to step outside rather than staying in here all the time. Sure Izuku, Ray gave him a sweet smile. No wrong ideas Momo and Himiko, Azrael thought to himself, saying to Momo and Himiko not to get any wrong ideas if they were here with him. Outside the hospital. So Azrael takes Ray outside the hospital for a while, at least to take her out for a walk outside the hospital instead of just staying inside the hospital room all the time. Izuku, are we leaving the hospital because we're walking away from the hospital? Ray said, because they are distancing themselves from the hospital. Oh come now Ray, I think I prefer walking around other areas instead of walking around the hospital all of the time, Azrael tells her as they make their into an alleyway. Besides, nothing bad is going to happen to you as long as I am here. Ray is safe as long as he's around her. I think muggers might be too afraid to come at you. Ray jokes about muggers who might be too afraid to stand up against Azrael. Good one, Ray. The two start laughing over that joke. Suddenly a young girl named Eri who was running away from someone runs into Azrael and Ray after coming out of the alleyway. Well, she bumps into Azrael and he catches her before she can hit the ground. Hey, what's your name? Azrael kindly asks for her name. Eri. Nice to meet you, Eri. I'm izukumidoriya, aka Azrael, the Knight of the Order of Saint Dumas, and that's Ray Todoroki. Azrael introduce himself and Ray to Eri. Apologies if my daughter cause you trouble. Kai Chisaki/Overhaul comes out of the alleyway. Azrael. Kai/Overhaul shouted after recognizing Azrael. Kai Chisaki aka Overhaul of the League of Villains, Azrael said after recognizing him and pulls out of his sword of sin ready for a fight. izukumidoriya/Azrael's POV. Previously I stopped by at the hospital where Ray is staying to visit her since Shoto and the others can't be there right now. We talk a lot, even I told her about her abusive husband Enji Todoroki/Endeavor is out of the picture and will never be a pro hero ever again. He's imprisoned in Tatter's prison after he got arrested when he exposes his domestic abuse in front of All Might and everyone else. My good guess is he got enough excuse to expose the bad stuff he did to Shoto and Ray for his selfish longing to be All Might's successor, because I taught him a valuable lesson. Next up I decide to take Ray out for a walk, but outside the hospital, since it's pretty much the same if I walked around the hospital anyway. We then ran into a little girl named Eri as soon we reach the alleyways and we introduce ourselves. That's when Kai Chisaki aka Overhaul shows himself. I know him as a member of the League of Villains, but he's also one of the Shai Hasaikai Yakuza. Well, he's the leader of the Yakuza group. End of POV. Well, there's a fight between Overhaul and Azrael that's about to happen. Eri stays with Ray. You want Eri, then get past me first, Overhaul. Azrael tells him to get past him first to get to Eri. A pleasure, Azrael. Overhauls grabs a metal steel pipe and use it as a makeshift sword to counter Azrael's sword of sin. Azrael and Overhaul engage in a sword fight while Ray stays and protects Eri. The fight looks like fight between two knights. The two have their weapons locked on each strike that goes left and right. Azrael then spins it, then kicks Overhaul in gut, pushing him back. Overhaul charges again and their weapons continues to clang until Azrael slashes his sword of sin, wounding Overhaul in the left eye, but this didn't kill him and only stuns him. Time to go. Azrael and Ray quickly departs, leaving a wounded and bleeding Overhaul behind. This isn't over yet, Azrael. I will get Eri back from you. Overhaul shouted, vowing to get Eri back and get revenge on Azrael for his left eye. Hospital. Well, they didn't have choice but to take Eri to the same hospital that Ray stays in. Eri was shaking, feeling terrified, which could mean Overhaul did something to her. Just what did you do to Eri, Overhaul? Not to mention Eri is very clingy to Azrael for some reason, but he doesn't mind if she's clingy. Perhaps if you cross paths with him again you can ask. Ray tells Azrael that next time he sees him again he can ask. Right now I need to get back and meet with the others in UA Academy. I need to speak with All Might. Azrael says he needs to return to UA right now. What about Eri? Just watch her for now until I get back. Well, Ray will have to watch Ray until he can return to her. Shai Hasaikai hideout. Overhaul gets his left eye wound patched up with a bandage, then gets a call from the phone which he picks up. Overhaul hears speaking. Overhaul then hears a voice who's talking on the phone that he recognizes because he's also working for them. Shigaraki of the League of Villains here. I think you might to hear what I have to say. It was Tamura. Shigaraki, who's on the phone? I'm listening. UA next day. Wow, I'm completely worn out today. Katsuki/Kaken said to Shoto, who's worn out too. Well, that was our recent provisional license training while Uraraka and Nejiro and Tsuyu are absent to work at their newly found work studies, Shoto said while wiping his sweating head. Hey, I have a saying here. How come Azrael doesn't need the training that we do? That's because Izuku as Azrael is well trained thanks to the Order of Saint Dumas. Shoto meant that as long as Izuku/Azrael is well trained as the Knight of the Order of Saint Dumas, the training they are doing isn't required. Meanwhile, Azrael goes to find All Might. Well, I'm in luck. Azrael said after finding him jogging and goes to talk to him. All Might, if was going to be your successor you will have give me the one for all quirk right? Of course young Midoriya, my mentor Nana passed it to me before and I will be passing it to you once my time is really over which is almost time. Nana would have done the same if you weren't around. All Might nodded his head as a yes. Nana would have done the same thing if he wasn't around. Hey Azrael, I heard you were with Shoto's mom Rei and what were you doing? Momo appears out of nowhere after finding out he was with Rei and demands to know what he was doing with Rei. Momo, don't get the wrong idea, Shoto and the others couldn't be there so I had to visit her myself. Lastly, where is Himiko? Azrael tells her what he was doing with Rei and asks where is Himiko. She has some things to do. Izuku. Momo said that Himiko had some things do whatever that is. Hey, while I was with her we ran into Overhaul after a little girl named Eri who was trying to get away from him bumped into us. Azrael mentions their run-in with Overhaul and meeting Eri. Meanwhile. Well, here I am now, Tamura Shigaraki said arriving in the Shai Hasaikai compound. Espa Way. Two villains with the same quirk used by him Lady battle and makes a havoc. Police forces reports to the scene but they will always need quirk heroes to come and save the day. Uravity and Froppy appears with a joint super move known as Meteor Fafratskis that defeats the two villains completely. Now that's what I call teamwork. Uravity cheered on their victory. Rib bit. High five Uraraka. Uravity and Froppy high five for their victory while the civilians and the police cheered for them and the two villains are sent to prison. I just wish Azrael was here with us. Azrael has some things to do with Momo. Froppy told her that Azrael has things to do, most likely to see Eri. Meanwhile. Tamura walks with Overhaul underground to begin their Black Communion. Yakuza people need to take these precautions to avoid getting caught by the authorities. Overhaul tells Tamura about the underground passage. Are serious about joining us? Overhaul minion Joy Iranaka/Mimic ask if Tamura was serious about joining them from the beginning. There are a few conditions. The League of Villains refuse to be under anyone and I would like to know about your plans. Overhaul. That sounds like the League of Villains take no orders from anyone and demands that Overhaul tells him about his plan right now. Plus there is something about this bullet. Tamura reaches for his pockets and pulls out an odd-looking bullet. Oh, and what happened to your left eye? It was Azrael. Tamura brings up that he knows that it was Azrael who did that to Overhaul's left eye. I want Azrael to pay for what he did to me after he slashed his sword of sin in my left eye. Overhaul looking for revenge on Azrael for the loss of his left eye that Azrael inflicted on him. You shall have it someday. Tamura tells him that he shall have his revenge on Azrael. Plus All for One is also working on future plans for Azrael's destruction. Elsewhere. Izuku/Azrael is with Momo again to visit Eri who's with Rei, although Momo did show a little sign of jealousy due to his time with Rei before meeting Eri. Momo, don't make that face, and please no wrong ideas, Azrael said trying to convince Momo nothing happened between him and Rei. But really nothing happened between with him and Rei. All they did is talk about how Enji/Endeavor is out of the picture and will never abuse Rei and Shoto ever again. Lastly, Azrael only took her out for a walk where they later met Eri. Then a fight between him and Overhaul which ended in a stalemate because Azrael wounds Overhaul in the left eye. Then Azrael and Rei ran with Eri. Oh yeah. But I see Nana and Himiko there too. Azrael becomes surprised to find Nana and Himiko there too. Just my luck, he said when Nana and Himiko wave hi to him and Momo too. Azrael. Eri runs up to Azrael and jumps into his arms. He was able to catch her when she jumped into his arms. Nice catch, Azrael. Thanks, Momo, Azrael said to Momo. Eri, this is Momo Yaoyorozu aka Creati, she's my lover. Azrael introduced Momo to Eri. Hello Momo. Eri says hello to Momo. Hospital. Hey Izuku, what's the order of Saint Dumas? Spending time with Izuku/Azrael, Rei, Momo, Nana and Himiko, Eri wants to know about the order of Saint Dumas from Izuku/Azrael. Tell her about it Izuku. Eri might be very young but you never turn people down if they ask you a question. Momo says so Azrael might as well tell Eri what are and who are the order of Saint Dumas. Go on Azrael, Himiko encouraging him to tell Eri about the Order of Saint Dumas. Yeah, just tell her what you about the Order of Saint Dumas, Nana says. You've been with them for very a long time, so you might know them that well, Ray says last. Okay, before their rise to power, the Order of Saint Dumas were once members and knights of the Templar Order, a group of warrior monks who protected and kept the pilgrims of Holy Land in Jerusalem and grew very powerful before disbanding long after losing the Holy Land of Acre to the Muslims. Some time ago, while the Crusades are still ongoing, some Templars had a fallout with other Templars and eventually split from the Templar Order. After the splitting from the Templar Order, they founded their own order, the Order of Saint Dumas, named after their leader who never accused of being a saint. In these days the Order of Saint Dumas operate as a guiding force against the war on crime and corruption. Azrael tells Eri everything he knows about the Order of Saint Dumas. Me Azrael, I was their knight, watcher, assassin and protector. Azrael suddenly and quickly pulls out his sword of sin, which he used as a shield to avoid being struck by a bullet fired by an unknown assassin who quickly flees. Overhaul, if you're the one who sent that assassin on attempt on me, well, you failed in a dishonorable way, Azrael shouted to be sure Overhaul gets the message that his assassination attempt ended in failure. Azrael then picks up the bullet that bounced off his sword of sin after shielding himself with it. Azrael, that bullet. Eri seems to recognize the bullet that he picked up to have a good look at it. You know what this bullet is, Eri? Of course, Azrael, these bullets are made out of my BLD and cell samples. Eri reveals that the bullets were made of her BLD and cell samples. It's that the main reason why Overhaul has you? Yes, to make quirk killer bullets. Eri reveals why Overhaul has her, and it's just to make those kinds of bullets meant to kill quirk users. If he tried to use that quirk killer bullet on you, it's probably for revenge for what you did to his left eye. What Ray mentioned got Azrael to remember what he did to Overhaul's left eye, since a brief sword fight with made him damage Overhaul's left eye in the process. He can try to get his revenge, but he won't get that far anyway. Azrael talks like he wants to Overhaul to try anyway. We can do everything we can to save and protect Eri from Overhaul. Momo says that they will assure Eri's safety from Overhaul. What about Himiko? Azrael's question is, Himiko going to leave the League of Villains in the favor on being with him, or she's still going to stay sided with them? No, I'm in your side now, Azrael. Himiko then throws her arms around him, which in turn cause Momo to throw her arms around him too, out on jealousy. That never gets old anyway. Nana joked about that competitions between Momo and Himiko for Azrael's affections because girls catfight before. Elsewhere, Overhaul is throwing a tantrum for his failed attempt to use the quirk killer bullet on Azrael for his revenge for the loss of his left eye that his assassin was supposed to carry out and failed because Azrael somehow notices it. DMNU Azrael. Overhaul shouted, throwing a bucket, breaking a TV security footage in the process. I'll get you next time, Azrael, and then get Eri back. Overhaul vows to try again for another time. Midoriya Residences. Izuku/Azrael is monitoring Eri from his big computer screen, while at the same PRD he watches Ajiro/Red Riot, Ochiko/Uravity and Tsuyu/Froppy in the midst of training of their work study. Work study with some extra precision. Azrael commented while he watches Momo and Himiko sleep in his bed jammed together. The two girls wanted to come home with him, so he allowed them to come along even if they will just keep catfighting for his affection. I recall Shota/Eraserhead said that they can choose not participate in the upcoming fight against the Yakuza if they want. But since I briefed them about what happened to Eri before, so they want to do this for Eri very badly, even if this is smaller role for them, Azrael said to himself, since they feel very bad for what Overhaul did to Eri, so they want to help. Azrael then turned to all monitors all across Japan, noticing various quirk heroes are instigating all the properties of Overhaul and his Yakuza. Azrael turns back to monitor, but the camera is on static. Oh. Azrael knows something must have happened, then suddenly his phone rings and he gets a call from Ray. Ray. Azrael, Overhaul just showed up and managed overpower me, then snagged Eri. I overhear that he said his hideout is a underground complex. Ray tells Azrael what happened and what she overheard from Overhaul before he ran off with Eri. Thanks for telling me, Ray. You stay put, we'll handle this. Azrael then puts down the phone. What's going on, Azrael? Momo, who just woke up from her sleep, pushing Himiko aside, asked him what's going on. Overhaul just came to the hospital and took Eri. Ray got overpowered by him. So what do we do now? We will go and rescue Eri now. While you and Himiko get ready, I'm going to text the heroes who will be helping us alongside the police against Overhaul's Yakuza. Azrael gets started on texting all of the heroes and the police about what Ray just told him, which gives them the message that it's time to spring into action against Overhaul and his Yakuza. I bet Overhaul has some minions who are quirk users since he's quirkless. Azrael is actually implying about the 8 expendables who are quirk users since Overhaul doesn't seem to have quirk, which makes him quirkless. izukumidoriya / Azrael POV. When we finally got to Overhaul's HQ and commence our rescue operation, we are quickly interrupted by Rukia Katsukame, one of the 8 expendables, who just burst out from the gate, and he sends some policemen flying. Rukia told us that Overhaul knew that we were coming to rescue Eri, and Overhaul is looking forward on getting his revenge on me for what I did to his left eye. Rukia's muscles becomes overgrown and prepared for battle. The overgrowing muscles must be his quirk. I told everyone to leave him to me, so I pick a fight with him without my sword of sin. All I did is use the tackle quirk of mine that quickly grounds Rukia before I knocked him out with my disruptor rifle. Well, the rest of the Yakuza are not holding back from this fight. The rest of our allies hold them off while we make our entry point. End of POV. Meanwhile, are the 8 bullets we have ready for use? Overhaul asks his minion Chrono if the 8 bullets they have left are ready. Yes, they are, Overhaul. So should we make our escape with Eri? No, Chrono, not yet. I still have a revenge score to settle with Azrael for my left eye before we can make our escape with Eri, Overhaul said, touching his bandage-covered left eye and waiting for his opportunity for revenge on Azrael. If you say so, Overhaul. So alright folks, that's all for today. Stay tuned for part 3. Do subscribe, like and share for more such videos. Also check out the story and author Scouttroop on FANFICTIONnet. Press the bell icon to be notified first on release. See you in the next video. Till then, goodbye.